Is 25 plus 25 45?
Mm-mm.
50?
Okay, in your seats, please. On page 134. We are going to read Every Vote Counts.
You have to click done. Or it's not going to count.
This story is about a vote for the class pet. We're going to read about
Oh, yeah, we got a new voting story.
one group that teaches kids the power of voting.
What page?
Page 134. Have you ever voted? Maybe you voted to choose a class pet. Maybe your family voted on which movie to see.
Yep.
If you have ever voted, then you know how good it feels. Voting is important. It tells people what you think. Many years ago, the leaders of our country wanted to know what people thought too. They wrote a plan for our government. It is called the Constitution. It gives men and women in the United States the right to vote. Each year, people who are 18 years and older pick new leaders. They also vote on new laws. Voting gives Americans the power to choose. How does the author telling us about the Constitution help us learn more about voting?
Wait, did you say that sentence again?
How does describing the Constitution help the author support the idea that voting is important?
Big reading or small reading? I have no idea. Small.
The author tells us about the Constitution because he wants us to know that the Constitution, that voting has been a part of our government plan for as long as we've had a country. And he wants us to know that the author wants us to know that the government thinks it's important that the people have a say in the classroom. How old do you have to be to vote?
18 or older.
What kinds of things do you vote on when you vote in our country?
President, government.
You vote on the president, vice president, Jack?
Democrats. You can vote on government.
Well, we could do that, but if you are 18 and you're voting for our country, you get to vote on who's going to be helping make laws for our country or upholding those laws, like judges. And you also can vote on, sometimes there's amendments or laws that they want the people's input into, whether they should make it a law or not. Turn to page 136. Teaching kids to vote. Did you know that only about 6 out of every 10 Americans vote? How would I write that as a fraction?
4 on the top and 6 on the bottom.
6 out of 10.
Wait, so only 6 out of 10 Americans vote?
Yeah, they don't take advantage of their right to vote. That's sad. Some people think voting is too hard. They are unsure where to go to vote.
Saying only 6 people vote on 10 people?
So in our classroom, how many people?
60% of people vote.
Only 60% of people vote. In our classroom, that means only about 7 of you would vote, maybe 8.
I would vote.
And 5 of you would not vote.
But what if we all voted?
That would be good. But it's sad that only this many people vote, huh? Some people think it's too hard. They are unsure where to go to vote. They think it's too much time. Now a group called Kids Voting USA is trying to convince everyone to vote. Why do you think Voting USA had to start? Why did the author want to tell us about Kids Voting USA? Because how many people vote? Only 6 out of every 10 people vote. Kids Voting USA teaches kids that voting is important. The group gives teachers lessons to use in their classroom. First, kids read stories and do activities about the government, and they learn how to choose and elect a good leader.
Can we vote Trump or Biden in the class? Yeah, just one.
No, because I already know who's going to win in our class.
Trump.
Next, kids talk to their families and they reread stories about candidates. These are the people who want to be chosen to be as leaders. Families discuss the ideas and make decisions. This way, when it's time to vote, kids know who they want to vote for. On election day, kids get to vote just like adults. They use ballots just like real ones. A ballot is a special form with the name of the candidates on it. Kids mark the choice on the ballot. Then they put the ballot in a special box. And finally, all the votes are counted and recounted. The winners are announced, and everyone knows who won. So, what is this?
Trump. You already know the Trump.
On election day, who wants to read me the blue? What happens?
I don't know if Trump's gonna win for real.
What happens on election day? Jack, you want to read that bottom blue bar all the way across? Hey, nope. I already read all that. The blue white words on the bottom of your page. Election day is here. Ballot. Finally, we vote.
It says election day is here, so they do the election first, then they sign up, and then they mark the ballot.
So when you go to the polls, you have to sign in and say who you are, so that they can make sure that nobody's double voting. And then you have a ballot that you fill out, and you don't put your name on the ballot because it's secret. And then you put on your vote in the box. But they have to know who voted, so people can't vote 2 times.
We don't know who these people are voting for.
These people are doing a vote for a class pet. Vote now. Voting helps kids learn how to be independent and think for themselves.
Wait, do they vote for like one person? Can they vote for themselves, or they don't have to vote? So they can vote. No, they're voting for a class pet. Yeah. Oh, so they're choosing one. Their self isn't a pet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Voting helps kids learn how to be independent and think for themselves. It also gives them the power to share how they feel. Kids Voting USA wants kids to vote now. There's a good reason. They estimate that when these kids grow up, more of them will vote. In about 10 years, kids your age will be old enough to vote. You will have the power to help elect great leaders and make new laws. Isn't that exciting?
No, I don't want to vote.
A lot of schools hold elections to teach kids how to vote. That bar graph on the side shows us the election. Which animal won the class pet? Sophia? Which animal won first class pet? What animal came in second? What animal came in second? The hermit crab?
I would pick mouse. I would pick guinea pig.
Turn to. So one strategy when you're reading, turn to page 140. One strategy when you guys are reading is to reread. You stop and think about the text as you read. Do you understand what you're reading? Does it make sense? Reread to make sure you understand. So, no. So when we were reading, we reread that. Did you know 6 out of every 10 Americans voted? We reread that until we understood that meant like only 60% of Americans vote. And that's why they're trying to teach kids to vote. So that's why we understand. Turn to page 141.
Driving there would make no sense. I'm not gonna vote.
Author's point of view. We're going to be talking about the point of view. The author, third graders, I shouldn't have to talk over you. The author often has a point of view about a topic. Look for details to show what the author thinks. Then decide if you agree with the author's point of view. So in the story we just read, the author's point of view was in the title, right? Every vote counts. That would be a detail or something we can kind of use to determine the title. What else was in there? Did you hear the words, it's sad, when I was reading? The author thinks it's sad that only 6 out of 10 people vote.
That's not sad. That's weird. Bentley, if you don't vote, then it's going to be 5 out of 10 people. What is that? Are we writing on the detail page?
You're not writing anything. The author says voting gives you the right to choose, right? Voting, so these things are details that help us find the author's point of view. What is the author's point of view in that story? You guys know what the author's point of view in this story is?
Voting.
Voting is what?
Voting is one.
Sophia?
Voting gives you the right to choose to remain silent.
That's right here. Yep, that's one of the details. But if you put all these things together, what is the author's point of view?
Voting.
Maybe everyone should vote. Every vote counts was an expository text. Are you listening? Remember that an expository text gives you facts and information about a topic. What were the facts and information about a topic in every vote counts about? What fact? It gave us facts about voting, right? Expository texts have headings. I want you to turn back and look at page 136 and put your fingers on the heading and tell me what it says. On the heading.
What heading?
The heading on page 136. Teaching kids to vote. That's a heading. So they have headings or they break things into sections to tell you what they're about. They also might include bar graphs or text features. The bar graph is a text feature, such as the seen on page 139. We're not doing that. I would like you to turn to page 77 in your practice book. 77. No, but 77 I'm going to help you get started on.
Wait, we have to do 73 through 77? That's a bad day.
77 says, study the information about prefixes in the box below. Then underline the word in each sentence that contains one of the prefixes listed. Next, define the word on the lines provided. So, a prefix is a part of the word at the beginning of a word. So, if I have the word do, and do, what does do kind of mean? It's like you need to do something. You need to complete something, right? If I put re, which I do on some of your papers, that's a prefix. If I put that in front of do, what does that mean? Do it again or try it again, right? How about if I have put the word on in front of do? Undo. What does that mean? Maybe you have tied your shoes and you need to untie it, right? You need to take it apart, right?
Or take apart the tractor. I don't know how to do that. In case it's broken. I would buy a new one.
The other prefix they're teaching you about is dis. And dis doesn't go. Dislike, and that kind of means you don't like, right? It's the opposite. It's the opposite of like. So on number 1, boys and girls, if I have to talk over you, I am not going to walk you through this and make sure you know what you're doing. Number 1 says, my dog does not like the snow. It was unusual to see him playing in this winter. So what is the word with the prefix in it? Nope. Unusual. So you should draw a line under the word unusual. Can you do what?
Can I get on Epic for 8 hours?
Yeah. And then all you have to do is define this word.
How do you define it?
What does usual mean? Usual? If it was just usual.
I know what it means. You usually do it. A lot.
You do it a lot, or it might be normal. You like the word normal?
What's that word up there again?
So usual means normal, and when it has on in front of it, it means
It means like they don't do it.
not normal, right? Do you guys get how to do this? You're not writing a whole sentence on the line. You're underlining the word in the sentence, and then you are writing the definition.
Oh, that's easy.
In the box, it tells you what the dis, and the on mean. So then you just have to figure out the rest of the word. Okay?
So you just write not normal, whatever?
You could just write not normal on the lines next to number 1, yes. So your job today is to read the story on page 73, answer the questions on page 75, do page 76, read that story, answer the questions, and then page 77. This is the same, we do this every week. You have plenty of time. So page 73 to 77.
Mama, so can I do typing club? What is this?
No.
Huh?
So dis means not, and what does agree mean?
Wait, so we're just writing the definition. Like, you're on the same page or something?
So you're not on the same page.